Oh, hey there. Before we dive into today's discussion, I wanted to talk about a fun upcoming opportunity here on the podcast. We will be doing a special episode in December, revolving around vetting, evaluating, and picking partners for your agency, as well as what the partner process looks like for HawkSoft. On this episode, members of the HUG Solution Partner Working Group will be joining us and will be eager to offer their own insight. Here's where you come in. What questions do you have for experienced agency owners about partners? Such as, what do they look for in a partner? What processes do they put in place with a partner? If you have questions for our guests, as well as any about HawkSoft's partner program as a whole, submit your questions by emailing them to marketing@hawksoft.com. That's marketing@hawksoft.com. We look forward to seeing your questions and answering them in December. Thank you. Enjoy the show. Hello. This is the Insurance Perspectives podcast presented by HawkSoft. And on today's show, we have JC Wagaman from Catalyst Insurance Group, located in Greenwood, Indiana, and Zak Pines from Formstack. The goal of the conversations we have is to help you, the independent agent, learn more about technology partners active in our space. We understand that there are many options in the industry, and we want to offer insightful interviews with technology companies and a mutual customer to help inform your decisions. In this series on Formstack, Zak and JC discuss how HawkSoft E-Signature, powered by Formstack, helps Catalyst Insurance Group better serve their clientele and refine internal processes with automation. And we also take the opportunity to explore the broader scope of what Formstack has to offer to independent agencies. We hope you enjoy the discussion, and be sure to follow the podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Thank you. This is part one of our series on Formstack and HawkSoft E-Signature. On today's show, we have JC Wagaman of Catalyst Insurance Group.
Pleasure to be here, guys.
And Zak Pines from Formstack.
Great to be here, Kenny and JC.
JC will receive a full introduction in part two. As a sneak peek, I'll just say that JC is the founder and owner of Catalyst Insurance Group and has over 20 years of experience in the insurance industry. You'll be sure to hear from him throughout, but our focus this week is on Formstack and HawkSoft E-Signature, with Zak Pines in the hot seat. Zak is Vice President of Partnerships at Formstack. He has been at Formstack for over 5 years, initially focused on Formstack Sync, before evolving into the person focused on Formstack's full range of partnerships. He is the proud father of 4 kids, 3 girls and a boy, who I always enjoy asking about, and always get jealous when you get to go on some great vacations with him. I met Zak early in my role as HawkSoft Director of Partner Integrations, and I am not shy at admitting that I have learned a lot through our interactions. Formstack is a partnership program that towers over HawkSoft's, and I greatly admire how Zak helms that effort. So with that flattery, then we'll get into the hard questions. But before we get into our partner question set, I'd love, Zak, if you wouldn't mind giving us a quick pitch on Formstack. What do you guys do?
Formstack, in a day and age, Kenny, where every business is under pressure to get work done faster, do so with more resources, Formstack offers various ways to do that. Essentially, empowering a business user, I'll call it. It could be an insurance agent. It could be many other types of users to get work done more quickly, more efficiently, more effectively, be more responsive to customers. That's, I think, it in a nutshell. And then I think it can go deeper into other specific areas around use cases that involve collecting data, automating documents, or a big focal point for today, collecting digital signatures. I think one more thing about our point of view is we work with we work with systems of record. We're not a system of record, but if you're an insurance agent, we're going to work with your HawkSoft in a way that is going to save you time because the products are going to work together.
Absolutely.
And again, allow you to save time and be more responsive and effective in your day-to-day work with customers.
Excellent. And Formstack is one of HawkSoft's key partners. You are the force behind our HawkSoft E-Signature platform, which we'll be talking about extensively in part two. Um, the purpose of the Insurance Perspectives podcast is to kind of collect a very specific perspective on a set of questions that we ask all of our partners and all of our customers. So I'm going to dive into the 5 questions that we ask our partners. The audience is definitely at this point sick of me phrasing it this way, but I love to just say that this is the easy one right off the bat.
Mm.
Why does Formstack exist? If we look at it a different way, what is the reason that Formstack participates in the independent agency channel?
Yeah, I love that question, and I think it ties back to the previous answer, which is, we're here to allow insurance agencies to operate more effectively, save themselves time, deliver a better customer experience. Um, all reasons that Formstack exists. We love, I think, ultimately delivering a product to customers that makes their lives easier, and does so in a really just, I think, practical way, um, and does it working with great partners like HawkSoft, where
Mm-hmm.
the fact that our products are so seamlessly integrated is a win-win. It adds value. We're here to add value to a customer's day to day. Maybe make their day run a little bit more smoothly than it
Mm-hmm.
would otherwise, because of the integration, because of the ease of use, because of the ease of setting up digital signature processes, or other processes more broadly across an agency.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I want to dig a little bit deeper into maybe the origin story of Formstack, because it's Formstack is a force in process automation and document automation. Um, how did you come to Formstack?
So I came to Formstack, and the origin story of Formstack goes back to 2005, 2006, as an relatively early in the industry, no code form builder.
Mm,
Every website at that point, every website needs forms, but avoiding the problem of custom programming forms, there's got to be a better way. So
mm-hmm,
Formstack evolved as that no code form builder in the 2017-18 timeframe. Really saw a bigger opportunity to look at sort of a full suite of related products. So form building is about collecting data.
mm-hmm,
There's document automation, there's digital signature, there's how that data interacts with a system of record like HawkSoft. And my company at the time, Bedrock Data, was acquired as that sync or integration layer.
mm-hmm.
Um, and through that time, uh, being basically afforded the opportunity to head up partnerships, got to see kind of how those products came together and how those products, worked so effectively with other systems of record. With frankly, HawkSoft E-Signature being like such a great real world example of that. Like taking a product
Absolutely.
like HawkSoft, taking Formstack Sign, and they're better together. They're
Yeah,
better together.
absolutely. In my intro, I almost said that you had a combined 8 years with Formstack if you
Mm.
included your Bedrock data days. And I think it's a testament to how Formstack operates that when they incorporate another platform,
Mm.
they don't. It's not a churn and burn process. You're a testament to how they keep staff in there and they keep working together. And I think there's a good lineage in that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
it's all done out of love, Kenny.
yeah. Absolutely. So when we look at HawkSoft, we think this about ourselves. We would say that 80% of our features or the execution on a workflow between us and a competitor tends to be identical. There's only so many ways. I'm a cat lover, so I'm not going to say skin a cat. But there's only so many ways to shuck an oyster. We'll go with that.
Yeah.
Um, but there is 20% that differentiates, generally speaking. It's that 80-20 rule, which I'm sure there's some statisticians out there that just like pull their hair out when people say that. But there are key things among even similar platforms that distinguish themselves. So if you had to pick one aspect of Formstack or one aspect of HawkSoft E-Signature that draws in and keeps a customer, what would that be? Why would you say that?
I'm going to try two different. Again, the seamless integration. As
Mm-hmm.
a HawkSoft user, being able to send a document for signature while operating out of HawkSoft. I mean, that's
Mm-hmm.
I think what every agent would want. Then, if I'm getting into Formstack specific features or Formstack Sign specific features, I'd say our text to sign feature
Mm.
has only gotten more and more and more popular over the years.
Yeah.
And it just makes a great, you know, demo as well. But being able
Yeah.
to, hey, everyone's mobile first these days. So if I'm an agent and I'm able to directly send that document straight to your phone, received, click the link, digitally sign, save back to me, that's a great experience for my customer. And
Mm-hmm.
that's a great experience for me as the agent to be able to get that taken care of so quickly and in such a modern fashion.
JC, I saw you nodding when Zach mentioned text to sign. Is that a feature you use a lot?
It's not a feature that I use enough. Let's put it that way. I'm so set in my process when it comes to that. I don't think about it till after the fact. Usually, it's when I'm circling back and I'm not getting something signed promptly.
I remember in the early days of HawkSoft E-Signature powered by Formstack, that was a big selling point. Was kind of the close rate, quote unquote close rate, or sign rate on sending it via text message was significantly better than email. Um, yeah, it's definitely one of the things that our team brings up the most.
And just what you said there, it's a nice way to quantify impact because
Mm-hmm.
yeah, if you can get your documents signed more quickly and at a higher rate, like calculate that business impact,
Mm-hmm.
that's that has real, that's going to pay for Formstack Sign and HawkSoft e-signature, really, really quickly when you do the math.
Absolutely. Yeah, and listeners, you'll hear us kind of interchange the two, and honestly, it's something that our customers do quite a bit.
Mm,
HawkSoft, we have the capacity to sell Formstack Sign
mm.
as HawkSoft e-signature, um, and generally, in my head, I always translate it. I'm sure Zach always translates in his. So, listeners, if you hear either, they're interchangeable. Um, the formal marketing name is HawkSoft e-signature, powered by Formstack, which is the Formstack Sign product integrated with our
Yes.
system. Yeah. Um, for HawkSoft, data ownership is a key point of our
Mm,
advocacy in the industry. We
mm,
believe firmly that an independent agent owns the data that they create. And with that position being so public, it draws in a lot of our customers. So it's an important point for them to understand how our partners approach it.
mm.
So, Zach, how does Formstack approach data ownership with regards to your agency customers?
For this one, I'm going to go a little bit to our forms use cases,
Mm-hmm.
which, by the way, there are many HawkSoft customers that can use the forms product independently. Um, and the way that I describe like why a forms product, it's because I am starting to collect more of our own, and we do a lot in healthcare too. And healthcare will call it
Mm-hmm.
zero party data. It's my data. I own the data.
Mm-hmm.
So use cases around data collection using a digital form. And it doesn't have to just be for a policy. It could be for any information that you're collecting on your customers, any kind of intake process, any kind of website form. So I think the Formstack Forms product is very empowering to a business to truly own their own data and
Mm-hmm.
control how that data is collected, and not being reliant on sort of other companies to do that for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So in that approach, you're saying that while you capture it, you deliver it directly onto the agency and don't maintain that ownership.
Um, I'm saying, yeah, basically Formstack is a SaaS product, so
Sure,
Formstack isn't do the sole job of Formstack is to serve the customer's use case to collect information. Yeah, we're
gotcha,
and and that is and that is so customers certainly control their own data when it's collected
gotcha.
through
Yeah,
Formstack.
okay. Um, and so this is kind of that one was like kind of the ratcheting up peak of our question set, and now we get into maybe the point to like hurdle towards something a little more scary. And I promise JC will have the opportunity in part two to answer a similar question. But the purpose of the Insurance Perspective podcast is a dialogue between technology providers and insurance professionals. So this is a two-way street. We're going to get a chance to go down the other path in a little bit, but I want to give a space where we can have some honest conversations. Zach, in your perspective, what is the hardest part of working with insurance agencies?
The hardest part of working with insurance agencies, I would say, well, I'm I'm not saying this is the hardest part. I'll say it's an observation though. And personally, it's something that I love, but insurance agencies expect, a white glove experience from
Mm-hmm.
software providers. So I would say where I always do internal coaching
Mm-hmm.
and there might be a support ticket like, hey, give me a call. I'm expecting a call. So there's a greater expectation for that
Mm-hmm.
level of service.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a big reason for that is insurance agents are in turn providing that, as
Mm-hmm.
part of their value prop. So it forces companies, I think, to, you can't fully automate your support. You have to be, prepared to work with people. You have to be very mindful of support. I think that's a strength of Formstacks.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more of a reality that I've observed through our work with HawkSoft, and
Sure.
and I see you nodding and JC nodding. So you're
I feel
probably
like
both.
we're in couples therapy right now.
Yeah. Well, I think JC, I'll give you an opportunity to weigh in on this. One thing I will say as the person, um, the relationship between Formstack and HawkSoft is overseen uh, by Cameral House. It's between marketing and sales. I fall under marketing with partnerships, and then my colleague Crystal Townsend, new mother Crystal Townsend.
Oh,
Congratulations, Crystal. Um,
congrats, Crystal.
yeah, we oversee the partnership together. And I do want to give some credit to Formstack. Absolutely. Um, you have always heard us out on that observation, and you have always been willing to meet our customers and meet the expectations where they are, and find the path towards compromise that is within the capacity of Formstack and within the needs of the customers. So from my perspective, so I definitely want to voice that and make that observation, because it has, if in my perspective, that has been it's been a pain point that we have addressed, and I think we are on the absolute right path with.
And I think also just, it's a little bit behind the scenes talk here, but I think we've done things even like set up good support
Mm-hmm.
processes for our support teams to collaborate,
Yeah.
escalation processes. And that's when you think of a partnership between two software companies, there's so many examples of where that falls
Mm-hmm.
short because
Yeah.
there's the finger pointing, it's not my problem, it's their problem. And I think with our
Mm-hmm.
teams, we have process so that, customers always get really quality responses and, thoughtful responses, well, research responses on how the products work together. And it's, in part because of number one, like HawkSoft setting the bar for that expectation
Yeah.
around customer experience, but then also the joint partner processes we've built together.
How are you feeling about that feedback, JC?
Well, I think you kind of nailed it just talking about how, we all think that our problem is the most important problem in the world, right? Because when our clients call us, that's kind of how they feel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, there's, I don't know how many tens of thousands of independent insurance agencies out there. We all have our own way to do it and our own way we want to do it. And we all think it's the best, but, there's a million ways to get to the end game in this. And so being able to be adaptable and be responsive and truly be a partner, that is the one thing that I can scream from the mountaintops about HawkSoft that not a lot of other tech-based companies necessarily operate from is that
Mm-hmm.
you truly want to see your agents be successful. Whereas a lot of the other platforms out there, it just feels firsthand perspective that it's all about how much can we milk out of the agent, rather than truly honoring that feedback. It's
Mm-hmm.
difficult when you have tens of thousands of people out there trying to do the same thing and they're all throwing feedback at you. Okay, how do we start to coagulate this together so that we can kind of find some common themes and solve those?
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely. So now we'll get a chance to win back the independent agency audience. And I like this as just a way to because we had the peak, we had the scream down, and then we kind of coast back into the departure spot on our roller coaster here. So Zach, I'd love to get your take and Formstack's take on what is the best part of working with insurance agencies.
I think it ties back to being able to help an agent be more effective, have that moment of delight. The tangible business value is really great to observe. But going back to that example we talked about earlier, I've been on many demos where either show or allow an agent to, go into HawkSoft, send that document to someone's phone or to their email, have it signed, so instantly, get that email confirmation. Like it's a moment of delight, and it also, is adds real value to
Mm-hmm.
that end customer relationship, and it's enjoyable to observe. It's enjoyable to know, it's happening at such a high volume of joint customers on a day-to-day basis.
Absolutely. Yeah, I sometimes I miss my days in product support where there was that opportunity to have that immediate visual impact on the work you do. Zach, I think you might agree that in the partnership world, it is a lot of bridge building, it is a lot of infrastructure, and then our sales teams or our account executives, they get to really see that reward out in the field. And so it is nice when you can step back and maybe catch a customer at a conference sending a doc out or getting a doc back for e-signature. It's cool to see those things happen.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, and was at your conference in Florida a couple years ago. It was great to meet customers in person, and every so often you show up on a podcast with a customer as well.
Absolutely. I'm going to invite JC in to help us with this kind of closeout question as we bridge into part 2 of our discussion next week. So I'd love to know, let's go over some maybe broad strokes of how HawkSoft E-Signature powered by Formstack works with the HawkSoft management system. How do you primarily use the service inside HawkSoft, or what are those workflows that we facilitate?
so for me, it's, HawkSoft is where I like to consider it the brain of the operations. That's where it's the mothership. It's where everything's stored. It's our uneditable record of policy history. It's once it's in there, it ain't coming out of there kind of thing. And so, anytime we have an application or a document that we need a signature on, we simply upload that document to the proper policy, right click, send for e-signature, bridges right over into Formstack, to which we have to do the login the first time for that day. But once we're logged in for the day, all subsequent documents are, we just literally right click, send for e-signature. We go in, confirm who the signers are. We build the document. If it's a routine document, we have the ability to overlay a template so we don't have to place each document or each data set in the document. But very seldomly is it the same every time. So we go in, we put in the required fields and choose how we want to remind them daily, which I harass the crap out of people until we get the document signed, just because I don't like loose ends. And so it is nice with that text to be able to send that as well for that same reason. And then we send it out. Then we get confirmation that it was sent. We get confirmation that it was signed. And then we just have to take that signed document, put it back into HawkSoft, which I'll talk about that later. But then that's it. It's very, very seamless and integral. I'm very ignorant because it's all I've ever used, other than my previous management system
Sure.
that had a platform that wasn't user friendly.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys kind of got a chance to be the new hot girl at the party for me when I moved to HawkSoft.
Yeah. Well, thank you. That was a perfect overview of how the system works together. I'm a big fan of Formstack Sign. I actually use it probably every week because it is the platform that we use for getting documents signed. We're biased. We really like the guys at Formstack, and they power our own e-signature platform. And so, but I do love using it because it is pretty straightforward. And if you have documents that you send out consistently, there are templates that you can use and make that pretty seamless. Hopefully that'll tantalize folks to listen into part 2. I want to thank everyone for listening to today's podcast, part 1 in our series on Formstack and HawkSoft E-Signature. Thank you for watching today's episode. Click the video's description below to learn more about our guests and to view the latest podcast episode, as well as other content from HawkSoft. We appreciate you watching and hope you join us next time on the Insurance Perspectives podcast.